This video continues from the previous. So the fourth principle is perceptible information. And this means we have to consider that not everyone has equal senses. So there are people who have different levels in their ability to see or hear or press buttons that allow designs like this for the thermostat to be easier to read, to have touch, right? The one on the bottom, you touch, guys know touch screens are extremely sensitive, makes it a lot easier. So it's visual, it's tactile, it has very high contrast, so it's easy to read. And some of them have settings that will tell you what the settings are to help people who are blind. We want tolerance for error, right? So basically this talks about minimizing hazards, and that is a microwave that is below the counter level so that it makes it easy for people who can't reach high up to not spill hot foods on themselves. It's much easier to access that. My microwave in my house is high. It's above the stove. And so it's difficult, right? I have to be very careful and take stuff out of it. And I'm 5'6", so I can't imagine what someone who is much shorter than I am, somebody who's 4'6", I don't know, they wouldn't be able to reach that. And so they'd have to stand on something. And then again, that creates a hazard. So stepping and standing on things is probably something we want to try to minimize. And most of the time you can. Low physical effort. And basically, the beauty of this is torque. It doesn't take much pressure at all. They're showing somebody here holding the handle and pushing down. But what if it's somebody who's a veteran who is unable to use their hands or doesn't have hands anymore, and all they have is an elbow or forearm to press things with? You can now press that lever very easily because of how long it is. Right? And same thing with faucets, water faucets. You want to be able to use a water faucet without handles, or doorknobs are just very hard. Somebody has got to turn them, but you want somebody with an elbow or a fist to be able to push down on these. And then, of course, obviously it gets into, well, what if you have somebody who is a paraplegic or a quadriplegic and they can't even do that? There are sensors that allow doors to open without touching. So there are always some really great alternatives out there to make life as comfortable as possible for your clients. This diagram shows a floor plan where it's easy for someone in a wheelchair to turn around. We also want to make sure that we're providing a clear line of sight to important elements in our designs. We've talked about this with leading lines. Well, here is a practical application for that. And now I'm going to go through more examples of what you can do. So in the kitchen, using pulls instead of knobs on cabinets and drawers are easier for people to use with arthritic or diminished hands, or people who have to pull things open with an extender. So you can install contrasting edge band on countertops. You can make this quite attractive. I mean, this doesn't have to be some ugly orange tape on the edge of the counter. You can do this with tile, contrast with tile. It just makes it easier for someone whose eyesight is diminished to see the edge of the countertop so they're not knocking stuff off. Also, it helps if it's tactile, right? You could change the texture. So in low lighting, it'd be easy to feel. Say the power goes out and you want to feel where the cabinet is so that you can find the candles. It also has that benefit. Install varied height cabinets and countertops. And it's not just, and it's not just for someone in a wheelchair, but it's also for children, so they can be more involved in the family. I read something really interesting. I don't have kids, so people always tell me I'm not supposed to give advice to parents, but I read something about, that a psychologist had written about how the reason so many teenagers hate cleaning their rooms is because toddlers are not allowed to interact in the process of cleaning the house or doing chores. They're just said, oh, no, go sit down. And so that now when they get to be older and they're expected to do chores, well, now it's this thing that they were not included in, so they find it negative, so they resist. And they said that even though a young child doesn't have the dexterity to do a lot, let them think they're helping. And so including the rest of the family in cooking is actually one of our goals, right? We're trying to make life more comfortable, and if the family has a sense of community, they're more inclined to be happy in their home. And then, of course, you can do things with countertops to accommodate particular tasks, like things that roll out or push in, as we saw with the previous one. And this is an example of a stove, right, where it can be, most of all of this is accessible. Obviously this isn't, so it would need in order to make this accessible, instead of bringing this all the way around, there could be a lower, and you could do it on both ends, so it would look intentionally designed and not like, oh, I have to accommodate you. But it looks like a lot of this is universal. There's levers here, the large faucet. Here's where it's not. Unless this pulls out to open so that someone with a wheelchair can go in it, then it's not accessible for someone in a wheelchair. And it doesn't look like there's enough turning radius for them to maneuver. Consider flexible appliances. And we saw one of those, right, where you have things under counter that you can, they're on casters so that you can pull them out for use. Elevating the dishwasher actually makes it easier for people who can't bend over. You can get a sink that raises or lowers at a touch of a button. Yes, these things are expensive. So you would have to work it into your budget by being minimal elsewhere. And so I just got done talking about this, really, where you want to have a space where you open the counters, the cabinet doors, and people can roll under to be accommodated. And you can always put locks on these doors if you have children in the house that you want to stay out of certain things. In the bathroom, you can install, wait a minute, did I skip this? Sorry. There you go. So there's an example of, this is the dishwasher that's been elevated, so that when the door is open, this woman in this wheelchair can come over here and empty it. Now, obviously, she can't reach up here, but a lot of these cabinets are lower. See, all this is accommodating. She can work here. This is a good design for the most part. I mean, obviously, she's not going to be able to reach that, but otherwise, it's pretty good. Okay. In the bathroom, you want to install countertops with contrasting edge band, as we talked about previously. You can do adjustable height shower heads. Also, the ones that are you can take off, right? So those work too. And then also, you want to be really careful that you don't allow the water that comes in to scald anybody. But you can adjust that with the water heater and educating your client about setting that. We kind of talked about that. Install grab bars, and that helps. And one of the things, when you put in a grab bar and you know there's going to be a grab bar, you need to put blocking in between the studs so that they can screw it to the wall. We'll talk about that kind of stuff more when we get into construction documentation. And then just, there's the shower that we saw earlier, showing you how it accommodates the wheelchair. And then just here are some other examples too. 36-inch wide doors, which means that because, when you close a door, it's got that astral on either side where the door rests up against it in the closed position. That sticks in enough so that it reduces the width of a standard door. So 36-inch wide doors actually have a 34 and a half inch width for passing through. So just keep that in mind. Large house numbers make it easy for somebody to see from. That helps for more than just people who can't see well. It helps find your house. So very large door numbers, a lighted doorbell, 0-step entranceway, walk-in showers, grab bars, a vanity sink like this, cabinet shelves that have drawers that pull out. I love these in my house. I mean, they're great regardless. Now, you're going to see this GFO. If you haven't seen this before, what these are outlets that if for some reason the current is increased to them, like say you have a hairdryer plugged into one and you drop it in the sink, it sends a surge to the outlet and the outlet cuts off. So normally if that was not a GFO outlet, what would happen is it would go all the way back to the box and blow the breaker. And this just causes that to happen there, because when you blow a breaker, it can actually send a surge of electricity to other appliances. Because I did this once with a vacuum cleaner, and I'm trying to think what else did I have plugged in. I had two very high demand things plugged in and some fans, and it was all in the same circuit. And I turned on the vacuum cleaner, it blew the breaker out at the fuse, which sent a jolt of electricity to my air conditioning unit outside, which caused it to blow apart out there in the unit, outdoor unit. So I had to get someone to come out and replace that, and it was $150. I live in an old house though. Okay, so there's another universally designed bathroom. You can do this is beautiful. Look, this one is not as accessible as this one for someone in a wheelchair, but it doesn't look like it's an afterthought. Now I think these faucets are hexes. Levers are best, but you can, as long as it's got enough torque to push it. And there's two different entrances into this, and I'm not really sure why. This could just be glass, and then everybody could use this entrance. I just think this is an expensive way to solve this problem when a person that can step over still just goes around. You could still put glass there, or frosted glass. Maybe you don't want people to see you in the shower while they're brushing their teeth, but. So throughout the house, choose lever handles instead of doorknobs. Design hallways and doors that are 32 inches wide or more. Avoid changes in floor height. Lower switches and raise receptacles so that they can be reached from a seated position. Consider furniture rather than built-in cabinetry. Built-in cabinetry is more expensive and it's harder to change. Furniture can be adjusted and moved and changed. And so these are both examples of universal designed homes. So there are floor plans out there on the market. And even though this one looks like it's from the 50s, and it is, it's a modern floor plan that's available for sale as a stock plan. Okay, and those are the references that you can explore further. Okay, we're going to stop this one here, and I will see you in the next module or the next lecture video.